When it comes to automobiles, there will always be a compromise because there's no such thing as a vehicle that does it all. For example, you can't expect a sports car to give you the practicality of a minivan in the same way that you can't expect the minivan to handle like a sports car. And the examples don't always have to be so extreme. For instance, if you had 2 million pesos to spare, you'd probably find yourself torn between a crossover and a PPV. And I'm sure that's a difficult decision. One that'll have you up all night trying to figure out what to do at this fork in the road. Well, I'm glad to tell you that your sleepless nights are over, because you can actually have the best of both worlds. The exterior of the CRV has CRV written all over it. Well, that's only because this is a test drive unit. So I didn't mean that literally. What I meant by that is that there's no mistaking this 5th generation model for a CRV. With its signature vertical tail lamps and a silhouette that doesn't stray too far from the previous model. At the front, you get full LED headlamps with DRLs and a grille that has more chrome than you'll find in your mother's kitchen. Along the side, the body sculpture is smooth with no complicated body lines flowing in different directions. There is some use of black cladding, but nothing too offensive. More chrome can be found around the windows and at the bottom of the doors. The CRV rolls on 18-inch alloys that look rather busy. The wheels are wrapped in 60 series Michelin tires that are 235mm in width. You'll also find side mirrors that house turn indicators and a rather unconcealed camera, especially by today's standards. At the back, you have more chrome and of course the vertical tail lamps that now also extend horizontally. And I love how these doors open a full 180 degrees. Now, as far as trunk space goes, you'll get just enough space for a few days worth of groceries. But if your wife throws you out of the house, you'll be pleased to know you get 472 liters of trunk space with the third seats folded. Now, if you want someone to keep you company, folding the second row will give you 967 liters of space. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about where you would actually be spending most of your time. Up there. The interior of the CRV aims to give you a premium feel, and for the most part, it succeeds. It's well appointed and comfortable. However, the use of fake wood panels, fake stitching, combined with numerous surfaces that bear hard plastics, screams tacky more than it does premium. But if you set all that nitpicking aside, there's no denying that this is an extremely pleasant place to be in. Now, one of the most distinguished features of the CRV, at least in this segment, is the absence of a gear lever. Now, a lot of folks will find this rather amusing, but understandably, some folks will feel the same way hardcore cyclists do about e-bikes. It's just not the same, but it does declutter the interior space. Overall, the design of the interior feels very up to date, but I wouldn't call it fluidic because there are some parts here that feel like an afterthought, such as these air vents. But in true CRV fashion, this crossover leaves hardly anything left to be desired in terms of space, storage, and utility. There's heaps of storage from the center console to the door pockets and the glove box. You also get more cup and bottle holders than your bladder would care to have. It also comes with this conversation mirror in case you want to glance at your rear seat occupants once in a while. But in case it's your boss or mother-in-law sitting back there, you can always put this back in. All CRV S and SX variants come with a 7-inch touchscreen. The physical screen actually looks bigger, but the display doesn't cover the entire panel. The screen gives you access to audio, navigation, and various vehicle settings. It does not have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but it does allow audio streaming, hands-free calling, and Bluetooth connectivity. There are also USB and HDMI inputs. The instrument cluster also comes to you in the form of an LCD. Vital readings such as speed and RPM are quite legible. Aside from your usual gauges, you are also able to view your music and various audio settings. It also comes with a driver attention monitoring system, which will send an alert if it detects the driver's fatigue level compromises his ability to stay focused. And now that we've seen the front, it's time to check out the back seat. Okay, so we're here at the back seats, and this is where the CRV really shines. I mean, look at all this leg room. I got heaps of headroom, and it's really comfortable. As far as toys are concerned, you get these rear air vents, not only here on the center console, but also up here. So it's really well ventilated. You also get an armrest with cup holders, more wood accents, and 4 more speakers, including 2 tweeters. Okay, so you could push these seats all the way back, although that won't do much for your rear passengers. But who cares about them? Oh yes, I think these are the best seats in the house. Okay, so sorry about that. I know that wasn't the most glamorous thing to watch, not by a long shot. But I just wanted to point out that there is space here, though it isn't the most comfortable seats in the car. Now the Honda CRV comes with a 1.6-liter turbo diesel engine that pumps out 120 horsepower and 300 Newton meters of torque. And I always say that horsepower shouldn't make or break your decision to buy a car. But it's also hard to dismiss the fact that the competition has horsepower ratings north of 180. Now the horsepower ratings may be low, but the torque figures are quite acceptable. So let's see what that translates to behind the wheel. So we're behind the wheel of the Honda CRV S with the 1.6 diesel engine. And it's time to see what 120 horsepower feels like. So I have traction control off and I have it on sport mode. Let's see how this thing accelerates. So just as I thought, torque wins over horsepower any given day. The 300 Newton meters of torque is more than enough to propel this thing to your desired speed. And it also goes to show that you shouldn't purchase a vehicle based on horsepower alone. That would be like choosing your spouse based on vital statistics, and it just doesn't work that way. As far as brakes are concerned, pedal travel is very shallow and it gives you that instant bite. Now, others prefer a more progressive feel to make braking more predictable, but that really depends on you. So compared to most PPVs, this is more comfortable and it's more nimble. Plus, the smaller turning radius makes it so much easier to drive. So I guess the best part about this is its size and just how easy it is to maneuver. Easy peasy. And look at the steering ratio. This is currently on center. Lock, center, lock. And as expected, visibility is excellent. And look what happens when I turn on the indicators. As far as NVH is concerned, it does a pretty decent job. In fact, the most audible noise you'll hear from the outside would actually be the diesel engine. And I'm so glad that the transmission gods gave this thing a 9-speed automatic transmission as opposed to a CVT. My only qualm about it is the fact that it auto upshifts when you're in manual mode, which defeats the purpose of these paddle shifters. Now I know it's somewhat unorthodox to compare a crossover to a PPV, but the point we're trying to drive at here is whether or not you get the best of both worlds, which is the frugality of a diesel engine and the capacity to seat 7, plus the driving dynamics of a sedan. Now we can also talk about how this thing compares to other crossovers, but the thing is, most crossovers, if not all, don't have a third row seat and a diesel engine combined. So to conclude, yes, you do get the best of both worlds. And it actually makes me wonder why we don't see more of these vehicles around. So again, thanks for watching. Until the next video, stay safe and happy motoring.